Hello everybody, my name is Becky Graham. I'm the Services Manager for Age UK Carlisle and Eden.
Hello, my name is Annette Dalton and I worked for Age UK for just over 3 years as a case worker and now since the last year as an information advice team leader.
We're here today to talk briefly about the organisation we work for and what support we can offer.
We also thought you might find it useful to give you some information on benefit system, particularly looking at what's available to people at working age who are no longer able to work due to health condition or disability.
Okay. Age UK Carlisle and Eden is a registered charity which was formed in April 2009. Some people might know as what we were called previously, which was Age Concern. Probably best known for providing information and advice, which is free and confidential, and that is to people over 50 in our local area, which is Carlisle and Eden. We support people with queries regarding benefits, maximising income, housing options, social care, and information on kind of other local support. Our office is currently based at 20 Spencer Street in Carlisle. You can contact us via the phone Monday to Friday between 9 and 4:30. Alternatively, we just reopen for face-to-face drop-in sessions, and these are Mondays between 10 and 12, Tuesdays between 1 and 3, and Thursdays between 12 and 12.
So if we're talking about supporting somebody, I get satisfaction from the support I can offer individual people through benefit, applying for benefits to maximise a household income, but also support with the online Blue Badge application.
We've just looked at increasing our social opportunities offer now that kind of restrictions are hoping to be lifted. We started doing monthly craft sessions. We have a weekly walking football group, that's for men and women, and that's on a Friday evening with our partners ICANN Health and Fitness. We're also looking to start a walking group in August, and anybody kind of has any interest, keep an eye out on Facebook for up and coming sessions, or just contact the office.
We also have a small team that provide their home support service. And you can find them later on the links. This is to offer assistance to people with shopping like cleaning, correspondence, or even companionship.
We have several shops across the district. You may have come across them. 3 in Carlisle, 1 in Brampton, 1 in Alston, and in Kirkby Stephen. The income that we generate from these does help subsidise our other services. Therefore, if you'd like to support this, please pop in, have a look at what we've got, or alternatively you can donate items.
So that's a bit about the organisation. If you do have any queries and would like any further information, you can access our services. Please do use our website or call us on 01228 536673. The details will be available at the end of this session.
Okay, now to get to the real reason behind today. We find that many people who come to us have no idea what might be able to support them, particularly in relation to the benefits system because it's so complex. We're hoping to be able to raise some awareness today around what benefits are available, and really to encourage people to make relevant claims for what they might be entitled to.
Mm-hmm. So as a benefit system is so complex and it's very dependent on individual circumstances, we decided to start with focusing up on some of the working age benefits, and that's available to those who have a health condition that impact on their daily lives or the ability to work.
The main benefit for individuals who have a physical or mental health condition that impacts their ability to undertake daily living tasks or who find it difficult moving around under state pension age is personal independence payment.
Mm-hmm. So the important aspect of this benefit is that it's a non-means tested benefit. So your eligibility for the benefit is not affected to any other income you have coming in.
It comes in two parts, a daily living component and a mobility component. Both components are paid at two different levels, a standard and enhanced rate. The rates generally increase every year, and currently the standard rate of daily living is £60 per week, the enhanced rate is £89.60, and the mobility standard rate is £23.70 and the enhanced rate is £62.55. So we are talking about, money that can make a significant difference to somebody.
So what I've got here now, that is the application form or the claim form, as some people would maybe call it. However, the one you would receive is going to be slightly different because at the moment this is just a copy, just to make people aware. But they're very large and time consuming, so we would suggest getting some support with filling in this form and advise it from an advice agency such as ourselves. You may be asked to attend a face-to-face assessment. That can cause somebody anxiety or not feeling comfortable to express themselves. So I would again suggest that you do some preparation prior to the face-to-face assessment.
Annetta, you previously supported people in these assessments. How did you find them?
So generally, I would say that there's two ways on how assessments can happen. So what I mean by that is that, I got stuck here. I think the main thing is that you have a copy always of your claim form available to you, just to refresh your memory before you go to the face-to-face assessment. Then generally when I support somebody, if somebody is able to express themselves, then the assessor would like to hear the information, their request from the client or for the individual person themselves. So my role would be only to provide emotional support. However, some people do suffer from anxiety and are not able to express themselves. That is when I can talk on their behalf and they can contribute if they wish to clarify a certain situation. But what I do need to stress is that when you arrive at the assessment centre, you're already being observed. So they will be looking at how you arrive at the centre. Do you use any walking equipment? Anything you have stated within your claim, they would observe that. So be very mindful of that.
I think it's that even they would be looking at how you've managed to get yourself to that assessment as well. Yes, would be considered.
Yeah, on how you mobilise yourself from the waiting area into the assessment room. So it's very much the beginning of your assessment. Overall award will depend on how many points you score in each activities of the assessment, and they cover the areas such as preparing food, washing, dressing, managing your toilet needs, engaging with people, planning and following a journey, and moving around.
As Annetta stated, it is a points-based system. It's intended to be transparent and clear, and therefore you can actually access this on the internet, which is a table of activities, descriptors and points. So for example, if you're a condition which impacts on your ability to manage your nutritional needs, where you need prompting to take sufficient food and fluid, you might expect to be looking at 4 points here. So that's D, needs prompting to be able to take nutrition.
Is that the 4 points? Right. What we find generally a good practice to start when considering an application and what a potential award might be. So that's why we look at that. And if you get between 8 and 11 points in total, you will be getting, or you would be more likely to be awarded the daily living component of PIP at a standard rate. However, if you get at least 12 points in total, you get the daily living component at the enhanced rate. Now, Becky already mentioned the awards for individual component. If you get between 8 and 11 points in total, you get the mobility component of PIP at a standard rate. And if you get at least 12 points in total, you get the mobility component at the enhanced rate.
I just want to add here that personal independence payment actually replaced disability living allowance in 2013. Some people continue to get this benefit, and you can't claim both. We do get some people kind of ringing in saying,
yeah,
you know, we want to claim PIP or attendance allowance, which is for over state pension age, but they're already in receipt of disability living allowance, so you can't get both.
So we can't mix them. No, we can't. So there are some associate benefits in relation to the mobility component of PIP. So for people who will have been awarded the enhanced rate of PIP with more than 12 remaining on the award, you may be able to swap the payments of the lease for a car under the mobility scheme. You can apply for the vehicle tax exemption if your enhanced rate of mobility component, and I will say it later, but this can be done via the post office if it's a first claim, and automatically eligible for the blue badge if you score them more than 8 points or more under the moving around activity of the received mobility component of PIP. Now, I've obtained 10 points, especially for descriptor E under the planning and following your journey activity. So now this links back to your PIP award, what we talked about earlier, and on the grounds that you're unable to undertake any journey because it would cause you overwhelming emotional or physical distress, psychological stress.
Yeah, I think that's a relatively new aspect of the blue badge, because it's a new.
It is. It's a new. But when we talked about the PIP, that reflects how that would fall into the blue badge.
Yeah. So in terms of the daily living component being awarded, there's also the potential of claiming disability premiums on other benefits, but this does get slightly complicated. So we would always kind of recommend getting a full benefits check undertaken to look at that.
So if we're going into the benefits, so now we're talking about the employment and support allowance and universal credit. So that means the other main benefits we need to tell you about is the employment support, as this is specifically paid to people whose ability to work is limited by either their health condition or disability and are not claiming, I can never say it, statutory sick pay. Yes. Excuse my English.
So before the introduction of universal credit, there were two elements of ESA that you could claim. One was contributory and the other was income related. People, again, do continue to receive these. However, most new claimants can only claim what's called new style ESA.
So the new style ESA is a contributory benefit. Normally this means you may be able to get it if you have paid or have been credited with enough national insurance contribution in the 2 full tax year before the year you are claiming in. If you need to check your national insurance contribution, you can do that online on gov.uk.site.
Okay, so in terms of the ESA, you can apply online or over the telephone. However, do be mindful that if you make the initial application online, there's likely to be an expectation that you can manage all aspects of the process via that route. Once you make that claim, generally a work coach from the job centre would get in touch to discuss the next steps, and this starts what we know as the assessment phase. During this period, you'll be awarded a standard rate of £74.70 per week if you're over 25.
So as part of the process, you will need to complete one of those, and that is the capability for work questionnaire. This should arrive within 4 weeks of your first payment. So look out for that, because that is part of the assessment. And if it hasn't arrived, speak to your work coach. For individual with a terminal illness with a life expectancy of less than 6 months, you won't need to complete this. It is used to assess if your health condition or disability impacts on how much you can work. It's very important to return this on a date, because everything you receive, and that refers to the PIP as well, there is a day where you have to post it back by, and that needs to be received by the DWP. So always be mindful, ensure that that is sent prior to the date which is on your forms.
Yeah, you can let the DWP know if it's going to be late, but you must let them know, and a specific reasoning why. For example, awaiting support from an advice agency, or have been in hospital or something like that. Following the work capability questionnaire, you're likely to be asked to attend a face-to-face assessment. I think they've been undertaken over the telephone during the COVID-19 period, but I think they are moving back to the face-to-face assessments. And exactly as Annette has suggested for the PIP, preparing is really key. Again, there's a points-based system. This is again available online, and the 3 potential outcomes from it is A, that you're not eligible, 2, that you have limited capability to work, or 3, that you have limited capability to work or undertake work-related activity. Now that last group, you might know it as the support group, depending on which benefit we're talking about, depends on what we're calling it.
Yeah, so in order to be awarded the ESA after the assessment phase, or to be placed in a limited capability for work group, you must score at least 15 points. These points can be added up from the number of different activities from both the physical and mental disability categories.
It works slightly different for the limited capability for work and work-related activity group. To qualify that, you need to meet one of the specific descriptors on this list, and again it's on the back of this form. We will put the links to be able to get the PIP descriptors and these descriptors at the end of the session.
Okay, so if you are assessed as having limited capability for work, then you will continue to receive the £74.70 per week. This will increase up to £114.10 per week if it's decided that you are in the support group or the limited capability for work and work-related activity. So, and they do have, isn't it? It's a mouthful, and it's, if the abbreviation is LCWRA. If you come across that, but that is what it is. It's limited capability for work and work-related activities group. The new style ESA is included in the list of benefit of which benefit cap applies. So that means as it's classed as an income, this cap, which limits the total weekly benefits, can be claimed by anyone. Will not apply if you have been placed in the support group.
Okay, we've talked about PIP and we've talked about employment support allowance, which are kind of 2 of the main benefits that we'd be looking at. The other ones, which is widely known about, is universal credit. That is a means-tested benefit paid to anybody of working age who find themselves on a low income for whatever reason, and obviously that includes people who weren't unable to work because of a health condition or disability. You can get universal credit at the same time as New Style ESA or instead of, and again it's such a complex benefit. We don't really intend to discuss it today in any great depth, and would always recommend you seek independent advice regarding this.
As we felt it was important to mention that this may need support to help, that you may need support to help pay your rent, and currently you're unable to work due to a health condition where you might have previously applied for housing benefit. This, however, cannot be done anymore. Not new claims. You have to. That's been replaced by universal credit for those of working age. So unless somebody has been ongoing award of a pre-universal credit means tested benefit, that includes a severe disability premium. I know it sounds confusing.
It is absolutely, it's really confusing. It's confusing to us.
Mm-hmm.
So for anybody else out there, we absolutely appreciate how confusing the system is.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just add that Age UK National have got some really good information guides that you can access about some of the different benefits. The other benefit that we think will probably be available to most people in these circumstances is council tax reduction. This is slightly different because you apply directly to your city council. The forms, they can be quite daunting because again they're quite lengthy, but it's good to know that actually you probably don't need to fill in every single section. It's just dependent on your own circumstances for what you need to fill in. Locally, as in Carlisle and Eden, Carlisle application is an online application. I do find them personally a bit easier to do online because it's very clear what you do need to fill in and what you need to complete. But obviously that's coming from somebody with a good working knowledge of the internet and dealing with applications online.
There is a difference between the online application and the paper form. So I know it might not be relevant at the moment, but the Eden District Council do not have an online service available for council tax, so therefore it is paper form, and it looks daunting. However, as Becky said, not every section might be applicable to the individual person.
And that's what we've got printed out here. And again, at the end of the session, we've got links to where you need to apply online. Both of those, and again we've got another handy information guide available through Age UK National about council tax.
Okay, so now we discussed the benefits, so it's worth noting that being on some of the benefits discussed opens eligibility for other grants. The main ones we currently deal with is the Warm Home Discount Scheme and our local winter warms scheme that we distribute on behalf of the Cumbria Community Foundation.
We thought it was relevant to really bring in some of the grants because that we again do find that that's something that everybody's not necessarily aware of, and the Warm Home Discount Scheme in particular has two groups. You're either in a core group where you'll automatically get it, or you can apply through a broader group, but you have to do that yourself.
Yes.
So if you don't know about it, you got to be in it to win it, so to speak.
So generally what I find easier to remember, and people probably will remember that, is if you being awarded pension credit, there is a time lapse where you automatically go in the core group, and if you've been awarded the pension credit after that certain time, then you still need to apply for it. It doesn't automatically mean that because you receive pension credit, that you're automatically in the core group. That's not necessarily the case.
And I think for people with working age, it would be the universal credit that would fall under the kind of means tested benefit. And as Annetta said, depending on when you apply and are awarded that benefit will depend on if you were included in the core group. So sometimes it's worth, if you've been awarded universal credit in the latter end of the year, you may need to apply independently under the broader group.
So it's well worth checking out, so you don't lose out.
Because it can be, it's £140 off your gas and electric bill. So and it comes off at the provider's end, but again only some providers are part of the scheme, so again it's a little bit of digging around to see who, if your electricity and energy provider is part of the scheme. I think if you do find yourself in financial hardship for any reason, and not able to afford bills, not able to afford essential white goods, there are other charitable grants. There's quite a lot out there that you can apply for yourselves, or you can come to an advice agency to help support you apply for. And it's always worth exploring. We tend to use kind of the Turn to Us online site, because that's a really good website for looking at what grants are available, because it can be on past employment.
I was going to say, it's impossible for us to know all the services who would provide, or where you can apply for the grant, using somebody to check that, because there's so many different employers who will enjoy and engage in that service to supply the grants. So
okay, so I'm very aware that we've given you a lot of information here in such a short time. So I thought it might be kind of useful to give you like a case example to see how that would kind of work. And I will kind of just clarify that the example is completely anonymised. It's a pseudonym name used.
Yes, and it's just really to just to highlight how what we talked about actually is what you can visualize maybe. So Stuart has been employed as an engineer over the last 20 years. That was furloughed in March 2020, and that was due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Stuart has suffered a stroke since being furloughed. This had an effect on his physical health and mobility, which means that he's no longer able to carry out the role he was originally employed for. So Stuart is very concerned about money as his furlough is coming to an end, and worries about paying his household bills. Stuart is living in a rented property and is responsible for the rent of £85 weekly and council tax of £155 weekly. So he contacted Age UK, Carlisle and Eden for information and advice to inquire if financial support would be available to him once he leaves his employment.
So what did we do in these circumstances? The caseworker advised and supported Stuart with a full benefit check. That's our go-to starting point. Highlighted eligibility for New Style employment support allowance, universal credit and council tax support of £202.48 per week. And that would be until the end of September this year, when the £20 weekly uplift is removed on the universal credit, and then it would obviously go down to £182.48 per week after. This would be made up of universal credit of £105.26 per week, the New Style employment support allowance of the £74.70 a week, and council tax support of £22.52 per week. It was identified that during the benefit check that Stuart's health condition was not only impacting upon his ability to work, but also on day-to-day tasks, such as getting washed, dressed, kind of managing his nutrition. Therefore, we felt an application for person dependent payment would also be beneficial. Support from the caseworkers ongoing with the completion of the application, as it is not, again, as we've said, it's a non-means tested benefit, so we could crack on and apply for those benefits. We were looking at the award. I think we felt that he would probably be awarded enhanced rate of both, and that would be the likely outcome.
So in terms of the employment support allowance and the universal credit, Stuart was advised that this can be claimed online or over the phone. Now he chose to claim over the phone to allow him to be supported by a work coach. So the next step would be the assessment phase. Stuart was sent the capability for work questionnaire, and that was received within the 4 weeks of the initial application, which we supported him to complete. As Stuart was not in receipt of housing benefit, now prior to leaving his employment, he needed to submit a new claim. However, he was only able to do that as part of the universal credit claim. So Stuart was supported with a separate online claim to claim his council tax support, reduction schemes through local authority.
Through the Carlisle City Council.
Yeah, sorry, I meant that.
Yeah. Although there was a long wait for the outcome of the PIP, as expected, we did get the enhanced rates for both, and therefore we were able to progress with an online Blue Badge application, knowing that Stuart would be automatically eligible, and he's also able to claim free car tax. I think Annetta previously said the first time you do make this claim, it needs to be done via paper, and the application is available from the post office.
Yes. So benefit is a really tricky system for anyone, and ultimately we would stress that it's always worthwhile getting a full benefit check undertaken, and if you do need help, reach out and seek support as soon as possible. Our contact details along with some useful resources has been mentioned throughout and will be available at the end of this session.
Okay. And I just want to finish off saying thank you very much for your time today. We really do hope you found the session useful. We are more than happy to offer further sessions in relation to other areas, benefits, retirement benefits, grants, Blue Badge scheme, etc, etc. So we'd really be happy to receive some feedback from yourselves about what you might find beneficial. If you can just add that to the comments, that would be great.
Thank you.